y'all don't realize is those were rituals. The people performing the rituals probably didn't even realize that they was rituals.
Guided me to this religion in December 2008. When I said, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, that was the last day I smoked. That was the last day I drank. I haven't listened to the radio since. And I don't say that to boast or to brag. I say it out of gratitude.
Diddy would dress up as a woman in a veil like a Muslim or Arab woman during his freak-offs. This was stated at the testimony today at court by the exotic dancer Sheree Hayes, also known as the Punisher.
One was a culture vulture set here to sign you and to take all your rights, and you don't make no money and you can't pass no rights down to your kids and nothing like that. That's P. Diddy.
Then once again, you know, being kind of like a scapegoat for Puff's, you know, characteristics or shortcomings or whatever the case may be. It's like, no man should be held accountable for another man's, you know what I'm saying?
Loon, the former bad boy rapper, is finally speaking out, and his remarks regarding his collaborations with Diddy are shocking. Loon discussed the bad boy curse, how Diddy exploited him and other musicians, and why it took him so long to speak out in a recent interview. Loon appeared to have made the decision to move past all of the controversy when he reconciled with Diddy after being released from prison. However, Loon now claims that although he once supported forgiveness and second chances, he has since realized that not everyone is deserving of it, particularly Diddy, who has been abusing people and committing some blatantly demonic acts. Loon claims that Diddy was more than simply a dubious businessman. He alluded to a spiritually troubling situation occurring behind the scenes, as well as a sinister energy that Diddy shared with everyone around him. Loon claims that Diddy utilized musicians as allowing them to be held accountable for crimes he planned while he kept his hands clean. Because of this, a lot of bad boy musicians either died, went to jail, or like Loon, turned to Christianity and permanently departed the business. Loon admits it was not easy, but he found serenity in Islam and changed his life. It was the outcome of years of introspection and an awakening to the extent of the harm. At last, Loon is completing the puzzle and expressing his truth. Let us now discuss his remarks regarding Diddy and his tenure on Bad Boy. One of the most dramatic tales to emerge from Bad Boy Records pertains to Loon's path through the music industry, prison, and ultimately to personal transformation. One of Diddy's budding talents was Loon, whose real name was Chauncey Hawkins. He rose to global stardom with classics like I Need a Girl, Parts 1 and 2, and soon established himself as the music industry, prison, and ultimately to personal transformation. One of Diddy's budding talents was Loon, whose real name was Chauncey Hawkins. He rose to global stardom with classics like I Need a Girl, Parts 1 and 2, and soon established himself as a familiar face in the early 2000s hip-hop industry thanks to his fluid delivery and distinctive flow. However, behind the scenes, the scene was not as glamorous as it appeared. Like many of Diddy's musicians, Loon was enmeshed in a system that prioritized financial gain over the welfare of its artists. Therefore, Loon made the bold choice to quit Bad Boy Records and the entire industry in 2004, just 1 year after releasing his self-titled debut studio album. However, his life soon took another crazy turn. Loon was charged with conspiracy in 2011 after being detained and found guilty of selling illegal narcotics in a case that had been constructed years earlier. Although he was ultimately given a 14-year sentence in federal prison, Loon's conviction has generated a great deal of debate and uncertainty. Many individuals think the legal system mistreated him, or at the very least, convicted him. He was portrayed by the prosecution as a key figure in a drug trafficking organization, although they lacked concrete physical proof. The testimony of collaborating witnesses and dubious informants, each of whom had their own motivations for lying, provided the majority of the evidence against him. According to Loon's defense, the government went too far in imposing a severe punishment on him, and that he was set up or framed by others. Advocates and allies of Loon have also claimed that Loon was essentially a scapegoat, someone the government used as a model to target more powerful individuals. Returning to Diddy, Loon reconnected with him in 2020 following his release from prison, and for a brief period, he thought Diddy had changed. You see, Loon had a significant transformation while incarcerated. Being imprisoned allowed him to reflect on his history and truly embrace his faith, even though he had previously converted to Islam in 2008 and adopted the name Amir. He abandoned the celebrity lifestyle, became devout in his faith, and concentrated on developing his spirituality.
I was Loon. Now, I'm not anything made now. What should I say now? Come on, Ma, been a whole day, name. And all of the songs that I'm doing It's female oriented, you know, female driven. I wrote all these records. Whether it's I Need a Girl, Part 1, Part 2, you know, Diddy, all the records.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Didn't know these.
No One to Know, Marijuana's first single, I co-wrote on that. Because prior to that, I was a predicate felon. I was a Mansfield gangster crip. I was banging on both coasts. I was intertwined with all the things that correspond with Loon. So I ran down to the lobby of the hotel, first Muslim that I found. I asked him, how can I become Muslim? I said, I want to be Muslim.
Initially, this fresh viewpoint caused Loon to forgive past wrongdoings. He desired to forgive, move on, and forget about Diddy and all of his problems. However, that was before all of the current troubling accusations made against Diddy. Loon is now claiming to have a different perspective, that it does not matter if you forgive someone like Diddy, and they will continue to take advantage of you if you allow it. Loon claimed to have understood that Diddy had used him as a scapegoat rather than simply walking away from him. Loon claims that Diddy made sure that while he remained safe, others took the fall. He is also talking about being set up and tricked into taking the fall for things that Diddy was actually responsible for, not simply about money or dubious contracts.
Again, you know, being kind of like a scapegoat for Puff, you know, characteristics or shortcomings or whatever the case may be. It's like, no man should be held accountable for another man's, you know what I'm saying, dealings.
But what is scapegoat? What exactly?
I think that a lot of times with how people perceive Puff can easily trickle down to his artists. You know what I'm saying? Unless you get to know them, then you might find some variation. But off the rip, it's like whatever is affiliated with Puff, it just becomes like this blanket thing. Guilt by association. Guilt by association. Right. It just becomes a blanket. It's like whatever he does right, you may reap the benefit from that. But definitely whatever he does wrong, you know what I'm saying?
That's on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. You get in line.
However, Loon's experience is not an uncommon one. It is part of a larger pattern known as the bad boy curse. And that leads me to my next point. Have you ever noticed how many performers who were once signed to Bad Boy Records left the business and became religious? And in a way that is incredibly intense. Complete life makeovers, not just Sunday church attendance. Craig Mack joined a very strict Christian cult and vanished from the public eye before dying under suspicious circumstances. Loon became a devoted Muslim, Shine converted to Orthodox Judaism, and Mace became a pastor. It is not merely strange, there is a pattern, and for years people have been drawing attention to it. It is also intriguing that many people have conjectured that the events that took place behind the scenes at Bad Boy were so sinister and evil that these musicians did not simply stop making music. They believed that they needed to literally purify themselves. It seems as though whatever transpired in Bad Boy damaged these artists' spirituality, and it was more than just career weariness or commercial disputes. These artists appeared to be attempting to recover from a profound trauma. 50 Cent was among the first to recognize this trend, pointing out years ago that Diddy is actually the devil in human form. Recently, a number of 50's old Instagram posts from 2016 in which he referred to Diddy as Satan and accused him of being complicit in Biggie's death, then listed all the musicians who fled to religion after having sex with the devil came to light. 50 first captioned this picture of Diddy, "I rebuke you, Satan. What are your thoughts?" Not a bit of Puff juice. 50 then shared a picture of G-Dub, a former member of the Bad Boy band who was imprisoned in 2012 for a crime he committed in the 1990s. G-Dub turned himself in over 17 years after it occurred, which made the entire situation quite odd. He claimed to have killed someone in Queens in 1993 when he entered a New York police station on December 5th, 2010. Since he appeared to be under the influence at the time, the police initially doubted if he was telling the truth. However, they accused him after verifying his story and finding it matched an old unresolved case. When all of this was revealed, Diddy said that G-Dub was correct to own up to his mistakes. Perhaps something was bothering his soul because he was so silent, he remarked. He is the kind of man who would never harm a living thing. I am not sure what transpired in that particular case, but he manned up to it and did the right thing. However, 50 Cent claims that this circumstance was peculiar. 50 posted a picture of G-Dub on Instagram with the caption, "G-Dub got high after dancing with the devil, went into a police station, and confessed to shatting a man 16 years ago. He is currently serving 15 to life. Where do they do that?" However, 50 did not end there. Additionally, he posted a picture of Diddy and Biggie together, captioning it "Big Dead after dancing with the devil." Following their escape from Diddy's supervision, 50 fell further down the list of all former bad boy artists that turned to religion. First, 50 shared a picture of Craig Mack, who passed away when he was a member of a contentious Christian cult. Craig Mack after dancing with the devil. He captioned the photo, "After Puff cheated them out of their money, they are now hoping for a favorable outcome. No puffy juice." 50 then went on to post pictures of Mace, Loon, and Shine, other bad boy musicians who discovered God after working with Diddy. 50 wrote, "You need God in your life after you dance with the devil," as the caption for this picture of Mace holding the Bible. Take a look at Puff's murder of Mace. Following their conversion, 50 then posted pictures of Loon and Shine. After dancing with the devil, he captioned the photo, "The fact that the accusations about Diddy's involvement in sinister demonic activities are more than simply idle online hearsay only serves to heighten the unease. Actually, a large portion of it is directly from those who knew him well." Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, posted a video on his YouTube channel years ago detailing how Diddy used to organize strange full moon ceremonies in which men would lie down with other men and worship idols. Remember, Gene was saying this long before Diddy was embroiled in all of these lawsuits and legal drama.
Him and Kim Porter's birthday was on the same day, and people was thinking that because of Puff gave his birthday party on her birthday, but it was bigger than that, and people don't understand that. And I think that he had almost told off on himself when he spoke about the winter solstice, and that's when the pagans and people who believe in the cult was looking for that moon on 12/12 at 12 a.m. and they were doing spiritual rituals at that time. That's when that was going to be the last day of the full moon, and that means that the seasons and all that stuff has changed. But when you get into that spiritual realm stuff, it was when they went and they paid homage to certain sacrifices, homage to certain idols, and on the third day they would drink, party, be merry, and the men with each other.
More recently, Pastor Rod Long, another man who became religious after working with Diddy, revealed that he had seen real rituals at Diddy's studio. Long was a producer before he became a pastor, and he briefly collaborated with Diddy in his notorious father's home studio. So Pastor Long discussed the first song he created for Bad Boy in a recent interview with Tomi Arayomi. He claimed that he did not get any sleep for 4 days in a row while working in the studio. It did not feel nice, but he felt like something was pushing him forward. It was gloomy. He even referred to the atmosphere as demonic, and he claimed that his beats and popularity increased as he delved further into that sinister aura.
Remember even the first record that I did for Bad Boy Records, I remember being in the studio for 4 days straight, no sleep, because I was driven by something more than just my own ability. It was something driving me.
Is it the demonic spirit?
I believe it was a demonic spirit in the sense that if I wasn't in those realms, I couldn't hear the music like that. I couldn't hear it as clear. Like, there were certain sounds and certain things that I could hear and produce that if I wasn't in that mind frame, I wouldn't be able to produce it.
So what got you in that mind frame? What would it be?
It would be focus, just almost channeling something else. Weed, getting in the studio and just, channeling it, just pulling it out. And when I got to a certain level of it, I noticed it could come in 5 minutes. I could just create something and it would be amazing. Some of the most amazing music I ever heard.
Wow.
This is where it becomes even more eerie though. Pastor Long claimed to have witnessed people performing seances at Diddy's studio, describing the scenes as elaborate rituals involving chanting and candles.
We would all be in the studio and it would almost be ritualistic. We would light candles and as the beats are playing, they would, their hands would be moving like this, and they would be chanting different things over the music alone. This is before it goes to the writers. And honestly, I can hear it in my ears like it was just yesterday. Like it was amazing music. And I again, you don't get to those realms without a supernatural aid or a supernatural guide.
Returning to Loon, his path serves as a stark illustration of what it takes to get out of this kind of darkness. And with everyone coming out now, it begs the question, was Loon's imprisonment a blessing in disguise? Was the only way to escape Diddy's depravity to leave the music business and turn to faith? What are your thoughts on Loon's change?